Hi everybody. This is the second video I'm going to do now, and I'll try my best to be as quick as possible. In the last video I was discussing the reason why it's important to kind of take stock of your life, and I was going to share my story with you, and I think it's so important. I would like to say that I am proudly 40 years of age. One second, I don't know why people call me 1 second. I would like to say that I am proudly 40 years of age, and I sit back and I ask myself, I look at the 20 years version of myself, 20 years ago version of myself, and I say to myself, I get that 20 years version of myself to say, have you done me proud? And I look back and I say, well, I've made some mistakes, and however, I think we've done quite well. However, knowing what I know now, if you knew what I know now, we won't be in the same boat. Then the me 20 years into the future shows up and says, well, don't mess up my life. You may have messed up his life 20 years ago. I mean, you kind of picked up at some point, but if you keep making the same mistakes again for the next 20 years, you're going to mess up my life. Now, what am I trying to say? You guys need to make it a conscious decision to have a multiple split personality disorder. That is the only time I think it's okay to have a mental illness. Now, what is that multiple split personality disorder? You need to have different versions of you in your head. Now, what are these versions of you that you need to have in your head? Now, you need to have you 10 years into the future, talking to you now. You need to have you 10 years ago, talking to you now. You need to have you last month talking to you now. You need to have you last week talking to you now. You need to have you yesterday talking to you now. Then you need to now have you. So I think that's about 5 or 6 different personalities talking to you. Now imagine this conversation. So you 10 years ago says, hey, KG, what on earth have you done with my life? You sit there and think, well, I have to say I'm really sorry about certain decisions I made. However, I learned pretty quickly, and I think we've done quite well in the last 10 years. Then all of a sudden, me 10 years into the future says, well, don't mess up my life, because you're not the one that's going to experience it. I'm the one that's going to experience it. And everything you do right now affects me in the future. So for example, if you don't want to kill me in 10 years time, watch what you eat right now. I don't know if this is making sense. If you don't want to be living in stark poverty in 10 years time, do what you have to do right now so I can have time to do what I want to do in the future. Now, you would actually get to a point, and the reason why it's important to have 10 years in the past talking to you is because we as human beings, even when it comes to ourselves, we're naturally selfish individuals. We're just bloody selfish. It's unbelievable. And it is actually very easy for you to be selfish about your now and not care about you tomorrow. It's actually very, very realistic. So for example, a little folding of hands, a little slumber here and there, and poverty will hit you like a bandit. A little procrastinating here and there, and you never achieve anything. Now, it is not the future you that is doing that. It is you now that is procrastinating. It is you now that is folding your hand. It is you now that is sleeping here and there. Does it make sense? But who's going to suffer? It is your future that is going to suffer. Now, it is easy for you to tell your future to shut up, I'm tired, or tell your future to shut up, you're not going through what I'm going through right now. But it is not easy to tell your past, who is sitting there shaking his head and thinking, look at how you have wasted our life. Did you see where I'm coming from? Now, why is yesterday you important? Yesterday you is important for reflection. Yesterday you is important to help you take stock of what you should have done yesterday and identify if you are actually making progress. Now, you may think yesterday is too soon, but last week will remind you that, hey, remember you said you were going to do this last week and you didn't do it. Yesterday tells you, and you didn't do it yesterday. So why on earth would you do it next week? Where is the discipline? Where is the self-control? Where is the habit of building certain habits that instills discipline into your life? Where are those habits to make sure that you will maintain it? I'll give you an example. All of a sudden I realized I was constantly tired. And I didn't know why I was constantly tired. So I decided to go to the doctors and they took a blood test. And they told me to come back in 3 days. I showed up 3 days later and they said, oh, it looks as if you're diabetic. I'm like, what the, huh? That what? You know? And I'm like, nah, that's not possible. And they said, well, do you exercise? And I said, well, I used to, but I stopped because of work. They said, well, basically, you're now diabetic. You have to change your diet. You have to change this. You have to change that. And I started reading about it. And they said, oh, if it's not controlled, you can have your leg amputated. You can go blind. And the limb amputated, you can go blind. You can suffer from cardiovascular disease. And basically, I now checked the life expectancy of people who have diabetes, and say they tend to live to, if they don't take care of it, they kind of die around the age of 60 or even before. And if they do, they could live longer, but they will be in pain and stuff like that, or they could have one part of their body amputated. I just sat down, and the future me said to me and said, me in 10 years time said, is this the kind of life you want to create for me? Me last month said, do you remember when you were just sitting down doing nothing? When I told you to go to the gym, you didn't go to the gym. Can you see? And I said, okay. So future me now said, everything you do now will determine our future. Then I asked the doctor. I said, is this reversible? And they said it can go into remission, or but it's not. There's no complete cure. Blah 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 blah. I just sat there and they prescribed some drugs to me, and I've never taken drugs in my life. You know, I'm always eating fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. But the problem is, I take a lot of sugar. So I just went online, started doing some research, and then I realized that actually there are people who have actually gotten rid of their diabetics by dramatically changing their lifestyle. So if you notice, over the last few months, you will see me juicing. I got rid of meat, I got rid of sugar, I got rid of all of those things. I lost so much weight, it was unbelievable. I went back to the doctors and they said, oh, hold up a second. Your blood sugar level is normal. We can't consider you as diabetic. I'm like, are you serious? They're like, yeah. Said, well, keep it up. Yeah, and they told me to come back again, just to be sure. They checked again and said, it's even gone down even more. Well done, we'll keep it up. This is really impressive. And I said, and by the way, just to let you know, when I read about it and knew what I had to do, I stopped taking the drugs. I refused to take the drugs because, well, what the doctor said is, people are not disciplined enough to change their diet. So we give them the drugs so you basically encourage people to die. I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. So I made a decision straight away, right there and then, that I was not going to encourage a bad habit. I was going to make that change. Now me is thanking me 2-3 months ago for changing my life. I am enjoying, I'm energetic, I go for walks, I go for runs, I'm happy. The me in the past, me in the future, talking to me then, changed my life. You need to have a multiple split personality disorder. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know how else to explain it, but I'm telling you right now, this is absolutely critical. So let's talk about your career. Because I'm going to use this to explain. I've used this to explain. I've used my health to explain it. Now let me use business to explain it. Sorry, it's hot in here. Now let me use business to explain it. Now, I said to you earlier, I said I'm 40 now. I'm proud of certain decisions I've made that brought me to where I am, but I've made a lot of mistakes. If knowing what I know now, if I knew it 10 years ago, I think I will be a lot much richer than I am right now. Now, when I say richer, it's not necessarily money. It's more a richer life, in my opinion, because I don't think you need to be a multi-millionaire to be rich. I just think that you need to have good health, sound mind, have peace of mind, and have loved ones around you, and be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it without having to worry about money. That is, I believe, the stage that I am in my life. But I believe that knowing what I know now, I would probably be a lot much richer as well. So I had to sit down with myself, with my future self, and me and my future self started talking that, hey, in 10 years' time, I am going to be 50 years old. And this is where I want everybody to get your paper and write something down. Write down your age right now. Okay? But for those of you that are around the age bracket of me, or that I'm in, write down 40. So in 10 years' time, if you're 30, write down 30. And I add 10 years on top of it. So for me, in 10 years' time, I'm going to be 50. At age 50, do I want to be doing what I'm doing now? At age 50, do I want to be working as hard as I'm working now? At age 50, do I want to be worrying about where money is coming from? At all. At age 50, I want my money to be working for me. I don't want to work for money at age 50. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I think I'm split in two. I work for money, and then I take that money and I invest it so that that money can start working for me for tomorrow. But at age 50, I don't want to work. I want the money I've worked for to be working for me. Because life is not about work. There's more to life than that. And also by age 50, I won't have the energy, the same energy as somebody in their 20s or in their 30s. I won't have the same. And my creativity may not even be as amazing as that of somebody who is 25, 30, who has no problem keeping up to date with trends, while it may be a struggle for me. So I have to be realistic with myself. And in being realistic with myself, I start to ask myself this question: what do I need to do now to make sure that in 10 years' time, if I decide I don't want to work, it won't matter? And then I started to think and think and think. Now, in my 30s, I wanted to make sure that by age 40, I am not relying on a salary. I am creating salaries, and I've successfully done that. Thank God for Digital Bananas technology. Thank God for Career Insights. Thank God for the certain decisions I have made to put myself in a position where I am a payer of wages, and I don't need to rely on a salary coming in for me to get on with my life. I create that, and that was the decision I made in my 30s. And now in my 40s, I am living that. So my 30s will thank me. However, we have made some mistakes. Now, at age 50, what should me at 50 be thanking me now for? And I sat down and thought, we need to be up to date with technology. We need to identify where we are in the digital age and where we will be in 10 years' time in this same digital age. And we need to identify what the opportunities will be, and we need to make sure we are able to give those opportunities to our customers so our customers remain our customers and we can attract new customers as well. However, I won't have the same energy that I have now to do the business then. So I need to start empowering other people. And that was why we decided to build the eWork 4.0. I am no longer the trainer in the company. I have many trainers in the company. But also we no longer have to have offices all over the UK to train people. We do this remotely. We created the eWork Experience platform where people can gain experience anywhere, anytime. I am no longer in a position where I cannot scale the business, where I'm stuck in one location. I am now open to the global market. We have customers from Ireland, customers from Scotland, customers from Holland, customers from Australia, customers from Dubai, customers from the United States, from Canada, and we have established a branch in Nigeria, and very soon we'll move to South Africa. So we're trying to make sure we're a global business. At least that will set me up for the next 10 years. But KG, you need to think. Spread your bread in many waters, for you don't know where the fish will come. But it's important to spread your bread in the water that you know, okay? Which is very important, or in the stream that you know. If you go and spread your bread in someone else's stream and you don't know where the fish is, when you give up, that man will sow where you are, will reap where you have sowed. So I decided that we need to diversify, and diversification means taking a new product into a new market entirely. Okay, assess the market. What exactly can you do whereby money works for you rather than you working for money? And everybody knows this. You're either buying stocks and shares or you're investing in real estate. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. So real estate should be an area we should be going into. Well, I am living in the digital age. How can I use digital technology to disrupt the real estate industry and create a future, not only for myself, but also for everyone else around me? And that's when we came up with Digital Landlord. Digital Landlord is an online real estate platform that enables the average person to be able to invest in real estate from as little as £200, £100, and still get the same return on investment that you will get if you had to buy the entire house. So kind of combining crowdfunding and a trading platform. So you crowdfund to buy a property, and then you trade. So for example, if the property increases by 20%, you can trade to someone else that wants to buy it. So that was Digital Landlord. I hate when that phone rings because I keep saying it. I don't know my house number. Nobody knows my house number, so that is a spam. That's somebody, I don't know. We'll just let it just ring through.
Hello, your call cannot be taken at this moment.
Thank you. All right, so we decided that actually, so it's a trading platform as well. Okay, now where do we invest? And that was where I started studying the market, and this is why it's important to do your research. You know, look at opportunity is. You know, there's a saying that is a proverb. Is it not a proverb? I can't remember what it is. You know those things that Jesus Christ, a parable in the Bible, where Jesus said that there was a man that found a land full of gold or full of treasures, and he went and sold all he had and bought that treasure. That is wisdom right there. There are people that they will find a land full of treasure. Instead of them, what they will do is they will just go and take their own treasure and go. This man found a land full of treasure, went and sold all he had and bought the land, which means that the entire treasure on the land is his. I just want you to kind of understand what just happened there. And think about you. You see an opportunity. Instead of you to go and invest everything you have to master how to take advantage of that opportunity, you just go there head first. Take what you can and go. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. So I knew that real estate in Africa, if you look at Lagos State, is the 4th largest metropolitan city, fastest growing metropolitan city, I think in Africa. Yeah. Now, the real estate is supposed to increase by 70. The real estate will account for 71%. Is it 71% of GDP by 2025? How that's possible, I don't know. But I'm reading all the statistics and I'm thinking this is interesting. And maybe I'm not right about the GDP. I think it's supposed to increase by 71%, but not GDP. But I can't remember. But we're looking at all these things. But if you go to Lagos a lot, you will see a lot of major investments going on, and real estate is really taking shape in that respect. And you really have to be there to understand what's going on. And I thought, hold up a second. There are 15 million Nigerians in diaspora. I need to identify a problem and provide a solution to that problem. What is the problem? The problem is most Nigerians in diaspora literally don't trust investing in real estate in Nigeria. I had a friend that bought that thought he was buying a house for 50 million naira, only to find out that there was no house for 50 million naira. I have loads of friends that bought land in Igbejuleki thinking that, oh, I've invested in the future, only to realize that the government had acquired all that land. That's a major issue. There's a trust issue. And the average Nigerian who's living in diaspora literally doesn't have time to go to Nigeria and be keeping an eye on those things. All right, let's find a solution. Let's create a dedicated platform whereby people can trust, and let's digitize it. Let's call it Digital Landlord. But But then the average Nigerian doesn't have the 50 million, the 20 million. That's the average Nigerian in diaspora. Doesn't have that, because the average Nigerian, even if you're earning 10,000 pounds a month, if you save 5,000 at the end of the year, that is still 60,000. That is nowhere near the amount of money to buy a house in prime location is, for example, Lekki, where you can have a great, really good appreciation. So factoring in the target audience and understanding their demographic profiling, their behavior profile, and also the geographical profile, we realize that actually, you know what, there's a problem here. Let's provide a solution to it. And what is the solution? The solution is very simple. The solution is give them the peace of mind to be able to invest in real estate in Nigeria, and then allow them to invest what they can afford, making sure that if that place increases by 200%, if they invest 200 pounds, they are getting 400 pounds. If that place increases by 50% and they invest 100 pounds, they are getting 150 pounds. And let them be assured of that. So we went ahead and did that. And I kid you not, what we do as a business is we charge a small fee for it. So what started happening? Well, everybody bought into the idea. And this is where I'm going with it. This is interesting. This is where you need to pay attention. Everybody bought into the idea. We bought our first acre of land in a prime location, Songotedo, right behind the largest mall in Africa, West Africa. And that they're selling properties right next to it for 95 million. That's Emperor Estate. So that gave us a gauge of what we can make if we were to build houses on there. We can build 18 houses. And that, we secured that. We bought that. That was great. And then we charge a fee for it, for doing the job. Then we went ahead and bought 2 houses in Lekki, Osapa, London, for short-let rental income. So that money is gone. So we have our future, we have our long-term goal, and we have our short-term goal. Now, what I realized very, very quickly is that actually I don't actually have, because I now have income coming in, I can buy with these people. So for example, they can bring 50%, I can bring my other 50%. We can invest in something else, they can bring 70%, I can put 30%. And we are doing this like consistently, over and over again. And I'm thinking 10 years time, okay? Now, 10 years time, your real estate asset rich, which means that, and you're generating money from rental income. And we're now about to start doing the same thing in the UK as well, looking for prime locations where we can buy and we sit down and rest. So even though I don't have 300,000 pounds cash to buy, if I have 50,000 pounds cash and I can crowdfund with other people, we can buy these things. And you just do it. And by the time you know, you'd realize that over 10 years, you have created a future for yourself. And that was the solution for my 10 years, solution for making sure that in 10 years' time, I'm okay. Now, that's information I don't have to share with you, but I want you to understand that it is important for the future you to talk to you now. And the past you to sit down and remind you of your mistakes. And then together, make decisions about the future. It is important for you to sit down and identify the opportunities, understand the age that you live in, understand the time you live in, identify the opportunities. And by identifying the opportunities, look for exactly where the problems are. And then find a solution to that problem. When you find a solution to that problem, digitize it. Digitize it, why? Because you are living in the digital age. Make sure you're able to integrate into the customer's lifestyle through the digital mediums that they use. Once you can do that, you have a future secured. So, recap. Your split multiple personality disorder is absolutely essential at this stage. Making sure that you're constantly talking to yourself. Making sure you're doing what you have to do now in order for you to do what you want to do tomorrow. That's important. Then, identify where the opportunities are. Understand the age that you're in, the digital age that you're in. You're going to be in this age for basically your entire lifetime. I can guarantee you that. Find where the treasure is. Go and sell all you have and buy the land where the treasure is. Don't be that guy that just taps into it. Now, what do I mean by that? Sorry, I'm hot, so I'm going to take this off. What do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. There are people who come on our platform, okay? Oh, I just want to get a PMO job. They get the PMO job. Then they disappear. I've gotten a job, short-sightedness. They get the job, they disappear. They now show up a year and a half later. KG, I'm a returning candidate. I was on your platform before. I'm hoping I can get a discount. You see, I got a job, but I realized that I should have stayed on the platform longer to keep improving myself, because the market has just gone dry. And I just keep quiet. I just say, yeah, no problem. Come on board. We'll just charge you, no problem. In my head, I'm thinking to myself, why? It's very simple. You don't see a land full of gold. Just go to the land, take what you can and go. You see a land full of gold. You go and sell all you have and buy the land. But you have an opportunity to tap into an age where there's so much opportunity. You invest everything you can to master it. I realized that the real estate market is massive in Nigeria. I went to Nigeria, sat down there for 2 months. It cost me an arm and a leg, but I sat down there to master and understand how it works. Why? Because I have seen an opportunity and I need to sell all I have to buy that land. I hope it's making sense. The same thing you relate to your career as well. The digital age is full of opportunity. You need to invest, identify exactly where the opportunities are. You need to invest as much as you can. Give it your all, 110%. Master it. And then identify exactly the problems that need solving and position yourself as a solutions provider. In the digital age, you will position yourself as a digital solutions provider. That way, you have now created an avenue to make money. But remember, if you are 40 years old, you really have 10 years to make money and make sure your money starts working for you. If you are 30 years old, you have just 10 years to build your expertise and turn yourself into an expert in your field, so that by 40, you are making the kind of money that can help you put money aside so that your money can be working for you. If you are 20 years old, and note this, and I want this to be sent to anybody that's 20 years of age. If you are 20 years old, you have 20 years of life. Time is the only commodity that you cannot get a refund on. You cannot get a refund on time, whether you like it or not. Once it's gone, it's gone. So, since time is the only commodity you cannot get a refund on, don't waste it. If you're 20 years of age, you have 20 more years to go. Let 5 years be your year of discovery. Let the next 5 years be your year of development. So that way you're 30. Then let the next 10 years from age 30 be your year of deployment. So that way, by 40, you are already an expert in what you are doing and you're making some serious money that you can put aside to make that money start to work for you. At 50, you're retiring, which is where I'm going with this. Now, let us say that you haven't done so well, or as you plan to do at age, and you're age 40, for example. It is too late to go to university right now. Now, somebody will say to me, well, KG, no knowledge is lost and knowledge is power. Yes, I would want to correct that. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. It's very important that you understand this. It says, above all, gain knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Many people have knowledge. Many people have a degree, knowledge, but they don't know how to apply it. Okay? Many people have understanding, but not the wisdom to know what to do when other people don't know what to do. Wisdom is experience. That's why companies pay for experience. Companies pay for wisdom. Always remember that. Experience equates to wisdom. So, if you're 40 years of age, you haven't got time to go to university. What you have time for is one, professional qualification and experience. Why? Because if you finish university at 43 and you start applying for work the same way, or graduate jobs the same way 20-something-year-olds are applying, you're living in a prejudiced world, whether you like it or not. And people are going to be thinking, what have you been doing your whole life? They expect you at that age to be experienced. There's certain things we are expecting from you at that age. So you haven't got time to waste. You need to go and get qualification, professional qualifications, and get the experience for you to apply that professional qualification and then kind of fast track your life. If you are already 50 and you haven't achieved the things you plan to achieve, this is where you follow the exact that parable of a man found a land full of gold, went and sold all he had and bought that land. This is where you give it your all. This is where you ask yourself, in 10 years time I'm going to be 60. At 60 years of age, the energy and the drive and enthusiasm is nowhere near that of a 40, nowhere near that of a 30, nowhere near that of a 20. So you actually have just 1 year to go and find an area of opportunity, throw yourself into it, master it, and use the next 5 years to create a future. And then hopefully after that, within that 5 years that you've made a bit of money, use the next 5 years to put money aside to start making money work for you, so that by the time you're 60, there's something left or something for you to live on. So I hope that everything I have said makes sense. I hope that you would probably press replay and listen to it again. And I hope that you would apply what I've said. It is absolutely critical that you take stock of what you have done, where you are, and look into the future, starting with the end in mind. Because if you don't, your future self will hate you for it. And the last thing is for you to have watched this video, do nothing about it, only for you to remember. You know, when people tell me, that guy is doing so well, I remember me and him, we used to go to the same school, and like an idiot. What were you doing when he was hustling? Because I now sit down and think to myself, why the heck? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. Let people be talking about you like that. Let people talk about you. Let people say, I remember when that guy was giving, or when that lady was giving 110%, when that lady was focused on her career, when that lady was investing in so and so. Look at her today. That's what they should be saying about you. Not you being in a position you're not so proud of, but you're sitting down there remembering people who are in the same level as you, but have done so well. Aren't you ashamed? It's tough talk. Sometimes tough talk and telling you the truth is far more important than patting you on the back and telling you that everything is going to be okay, when clearly it is not okay. So, we only have now. Everything I've just said to you now, I have lost the time that I should be doing something else, talking to you. I can't get that time back. I hope it makes sense. So, I want to make sure that the time I have invested is used appropriately and somebody is learning from it. This is a time where anybody that is not adding value to your life needs to get out of your life. Anybody who is bringing you down needs to get out of your life. Your time is all you have. Your time is the only thing you cannot afford to negotiate on. Your time is the only thing you cannot afford to give free of charge to anybody. I will never forget. There was a lady I used to go out with, very intelligent, smart lady, you know, and I would be, we'll be on the phone. I'll be working. She'll be talking to me. We'll be working, and I'll be working, and I'll just forget she's there, and I'll be working, and I will never forget. She just put the phone down, called me back, and then she said, "Do you think my time is for free?" I'm like, what do you mean? Do you think you can be using me to carry on with your work, making your money, and be wasting my time? Do you value my time at all? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, no, this is not a question of apology. That time you have wasted, I can't get it back. and I calmed down. And she taught me something. She taught me that people who value their time have very little tolerance for people who waste it. I want you to take that with you. If you value your time, you will realize that you have very, very little tolerance for people who waste it. So what do I mean by that? If you are in a job and that job is paying you to destroy your career. So what do I mean by that? Basically, they're not encouraging you to move up the career. They're not training you. They're paying you basically to be relevant in the future. You must have very little tolerance for that company to be wasting your time. Hand in your notice, get out. Sometimes being paid to pay salary is a trap. Sorry, being paid to pay your bills is a trap. Get out of it. There are friends you have, and basically by the time you chat, hang around, you realize that the time you spent with them, you could have used it to go and pay for a course somewhere. Those guys have literally not valued your time, wasted it, and as a result of it, you don't value their time at all. So take on everything I've said. I'm hoping that you found something somewhere. I'm just hoping that you found something somewhere, and you're realizing that your time is the only commodity you cannot get a refund on. And those who value their time have very little tolerance for those who waste it. Case closed. And I hope you've learned something. Make sure you share this video with somebody that needs to listen to it, and may God bless you. You can listen to the videos before then, but I think I've said what I need to say for the next 6 months, and I hope that in the next 6 months I'll be hearing success stories from you. May God bless you. Bye-bye, and catch up later. Bye-bye.